Show number 14.
This Otaku's Life.
I have this innate interest in helping, but I don't always give of my time, mainly because I don't always have it to give. I believe in a certain degree of honesty between people, but I am still very guarded. I'm not very gullible, and I don't always believe that everyone always has good intentions. But if there's a subject, a mission, something that I know I can add value, I always try to find and give my time. We're human. We experience a lot of things, and sometimes sharing our experiences help others cope. But being nice, to me, is not a religious mission. I'm not charitable because I have an agenda. I find you can be a good person and you can go out of your way. I remember a case where I was at the supermarket and I was done shopping and I was going back to my car. And there was this gentleman and he was like fiddling around with his cell phone. And so he's a big guy and he's got a lot of jewelry and he's got gold chains, gold rings. And he's standing right next to this white Escalade, which also has a lot of bling on it. And it was pretty clear to me that this guy was having some trouble with his car. He happened to be the other person on the other side of the parking lot. And so I asked him if he needed a jump, and since our cars were nose to nose, I helped him out. Well, it turns out that this gentleman was a priest. And he gave me his card and he says, "I want you to come on Sunday." I said, "No, thank you." I was happy to help. Even today, I was at the train station in the city, and there was this lady. It was pretty clear that a friend of hers walked her down to the rail and said, "Okay, this is what you need to know, and get on here and I'll take you where you need to go." And he walked off. And so she sat down on the bench, and the handful of us started talking. And she was there because she just saw the president. He was in town, and he was giving a speech. So she didn't know really what the deal was with parking, and so she took the train in. But someone gave her a ride to the train station, and she ended up in the city, and she went to her event, and her day was over, and she was coming home. But she didn't really know what to do. And I recently have just gone through this experience, so I was glad to give advice when she asked. 40 minutes later, I'm at the train station, I'm going to the parking garage, and she's a miss. No one can pick her up from the train station. So I asked, "Where can I take you?" And it happened to be on the way to somewhere I was going. And I had no problem giving this lady a lift and taking her home. It simplified her day, it solved her problem, and it put everyone at ease. And I asked nothing in return, and I expected nothing in return. I was happy to help. Think about it. When's the last time you've had a problem, you've been stranded, and someone random, a person you don't even know, has gone out of their way to help you? I've done this on an occasion, and the only couple occurrences I can remember is I had a car that basically broke down, and I was looking under the hood, and I had no cell reception, and it was interesting. It was around, I don't know, let's say 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock time, and people were just going by and by and by, and this was the time when I had a cell phone, but my family and relatives and majority of my friends did not. So the chance I was going to be able to get somebody at home to help me out was going to be difficult. And I was basically stranded. My car was broke. I also didn't have a lot of money, so I would say almost technically I was broke. But I figured it out, I got the car taken care of, and the interesting thing, for all the people that were rushing by, there were a handful of people who were saying, "How can I help?" They would stop and say, "Do you need a jump? What can I do for you? Do you need to call somebody?" And I never expected anybody to help. And there are other occurrences of this, better examples that I just can't remember at this time. Being charitable is not required, but I think it's an honorable thing to do. I don't see it as filling a quota, and I don't see it as something that if I do 10 things a year, that I have 10 chances of being credited with good deeds from other people. Giving of your time and yourself, I think, is the most important. But let's be honest, it's also the cheapest thing that you can do. I'm not a rich man. I can't give people money, but I can take time out to help them. I can share, educate, help them in some way that's going to improve their life, their livelihood, put a smile on their face, make them happy. And if the opportunity is reasonable, I'll do it. Many years ago, when I was a teenager, I used to give a lot of my time to cancer, and I used to speak on the topic at symposiums, and I gave my time. But I realized there was something inside where I wanted to share and connect, express my opinion, my point of view, and it felt good when people respected that, took something away from what you shared. And to me, that in itself, that's really my reward. Thanks again, everyone, for downloading, listening, and contributing. Now, I want to address one particular thing that might irk you and always comes to mind every time I do it when I record this little part of the show. And I say we a lot. I want to clarify that the we is really not just about me, but it's about you and anyone who contributes and any friends or family that want to share one of their stories and help make show IDs. And, you could do that too. And there's a bunch of ways you can get a hold of us. The easiest way is our email, thisotakuslife@gmail.com. You can check out our website at thisotakuslife.com. And we also have Twitter, This Otaku's Life. But the way you can contribute is a couple ways. First, we'd ask you to send us some audio, if you're capable of doing that. And we have two immediate ways you can contribute. First, at the beginning of every show, we have these show IDs where they say "This Otaku's Life" with different voices. And all we would ask you to do is say "This Otaku's Life" with pauses in between, and we'll cut them up and mix them together, and we'll have new varying show IDs every show. Of course, we're starting to repeat a little bit because we don't have that many. Also, if you want to share a story and experience of a topic we've already covered here, or even a new topic, you could just send us that feedback. And a couple people have. And I will cut those bits together and I will play them in the future, but I wanted to have more. And so I'm hoping that you will record a short story, an experience, again, as I said, on one of the topics we've already covered here. So that's it, everyone. Thank you again for listening and downloading and sharing. And until next week, have a good one.